name's Jason, and this is Just Watches. Okay, today we have a watch from the updated Seiko 5 line. This is a pilot-style watch that is very similar to the older Seiko SNK line. That was a very well-loved and affordable watch series, which is actually still available at this time, although no longer being produced by Seiko. This newer version is larger in size, more expensive, and has been upgraded to the 4R35 movement, which introduces hacking. So before we get to the review, I just want to remind you, if you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe, and if you're enjoying the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. So price and availability, well, the MSRP on this watch is $275. However, you're going to be able to pick it up for much less. I got this one for $168. It's also widely available from a variety of places online. So starting with the case, it's 39.5 millimeters in diameter, 47.5 millimeters lug to lug, 13.5 millimeters thick, and then 20 millimeter lug width opening. On the stock strap, it weighs in at 75 grams. So the case is completely brushed and the lug profile is quite flat. But with this shorter lug to lug, it's going to still wear comfortably on a wide range of wrist sizes. I would prefer if the lugs curve down slightly, as the watch can ride a bit on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. This is also due in part to the case back being fairly thick to accommodate the exhibition window. Now visually, the overall height is slightly broken up by the bezel, so on wrist, I don't think it appears as thick as the specifications would suggest. The stock strap is pretty nice, especially for Seiko, who doesn't tend to do very well on their stock straps and bracelets. It's a combination of canvas on top and leather on the bottom, and is done in the same blue and orange color scheme as the dial of the watch. This is a playful detail, and I really appreciate it. That being said, the strap is very stiff and will probably take a long time to fully break in. The pin and collar are brushed to match the finishing on the case and signed with Seiko. And then the holes are also reinforced with a strip of leather on the top. I've really enjoyed wearing the watch on this strap so far. The screw-in exhibition caseback helps provide 100 meters of water resistance. This watch is powered by none other than the ubiquitous Seiko 4R36. It's very minimally decorated here, but they did sign the rotor with Seiko and the new Seiko 5 logo. While the caseback adds thickness to the watch, I really like entry-level mechanicals to have a displaced caseback. I remember how I felt the first time I got to see a movement through the back of a watch, and it's a really fun part of watches overall. So the 4R36 is a hacking, hand-winding, 21,600 vibration per hour movement with a 42-hour power reserve and a stated accuracy of -20 to +40 seconds a day, but I usually find it's closer to plus or minus 10 seconds a day on average. It also features a quick set day and date. The 6.5 millimeter push-pull crown is not signed, but it is nicely knurled and makes it very easy to wind and operate the watch. The domed Hardlex crystal sits just above the bezel, and the slope of the bezel transitions nicely into the slope of the crystal as it rises to maybe 3/4 of a millimeter proud of the bezel at the apex of the dome. We were never really going to get sapphire crystal at this price point from Seiko, but the execution of the crystal is nice and creates some fun distortions when viewing the watch at an angle. The dial on this watch is excellent. It's a matte blue that even appears ever so slightly textured in direct bright light. We have dashes for each of the minutes at the very edge of the dial with a small dot of lume at each of the hour positions. This lume is also orange at 12, 3, 6, and 9, which is a really fun splash of color and also serves to help you quickly orient the watch. There is a very large triangle at 12, with each of the 5-minute designations displayed at the outer edge of the dial with Arabic numerals, and then on the other side of a dividing ring in the center of the dial, there is the hours, so this is a Flieger B dial style. The Seiko logo is applied at 12, with the new Seiko 5 symbol below. The beveled day-date window resides at 3 and is nicely spaced on either side of the central ring. I would love to see a no-date version of this watch, but that would violate one of the tenets of a Seiko 5 watch, which is to have a single window day-date display. Finally, you have automatic in script at 6 and made in Japan, and the movement information very small, flanking the very bottom of the 6 o'clock position. The dial is nicely laid out and is super legible, and I actually think B-style dial is actually even easier to read when you have the minutes there displayed at the edge of the dial. The hands are really well done on this watch. The hour and minute hands are sword style, edged in gray and filled with lume. The hour hand perfectly terminates at the inner circle on the dial, while the minute hand reaches all the way out to the dashes at the edge of the dial. Moreover, the second hand is all black, save for the lumed lollipop at the tail, and then the coloring at the tip, which is orange and starts just as the second hand crosses the inner circle on the dial. This is incredible attention to detail, and I really like how the hands are done here, especially on this entry-level watch. So I put it up against the SRP here because they have similar lume. You can see it's, Seiko brightness, and then the really cool detail of the orange used at 12, 3, 6, and 9. It's just there's not a lot of surface area here for the lume, so it's not going to be as bright as, say, a dive watch. And here it is on the Timegrapher with the dial up. Like I said, these Seiko movements run a little bit more accurate than usually than their spec. I find they average plus or minus 10 seconds a day, and this one one's running excellent, gaining about 4 or 5 seconds here. Also keeping great time in the crown up position, gaining about 3 seconds a day, strong amplitude, and 0 beat error. And here is the watch of my 6 3/4 inch wrist. That 47.5 millimeters lug to lug is a bit more pronounced due to the straightness of the lugs. And then on the wrist, you can see it rides a little bit high just due to that larger exhibition case back. So pros and cons, starting with the pros. Well, this is a very legible and practical watch and comes in a number of fun colorways. And I think once you really fully break in the stock strap, it will serve this watch well. It also has 100 meters of water resistance, which means you can be a bit more adventurous with this one. Finally, if you are obsessive over little details, the execution of the hands is really going to please you. For cons, when you use a domed crystal without anti-reflective coating, it's going to catch quite a few reflections, which can be annoying. While I love the use of the orange lume, I wish there was just a bit more surface area for the loomed areas so that they would be brighter and last longer. Finally, with the increase in the case size, I'd like to see the lugs curve down a bit for a slightly more comfortable fit. So if you want this watch, I'd probably wait 6 months to grab one. I got a great deal at $168, and I think those types of deals are going to become more common as a little bit of time goes by on this one. If you really want a similar watch right now and don't mind not having the hacking function, you could just grab the watch this one is based off of, the SNK 809. They're still available right now for $100, but Seiko's no longer producing them, so they're probably going to dry up over time. Other comparables include the Long Island watch's ISL 113, which is a B-style dial Flieger for $200, and that one will also come with a sapphire crystal. So there you have it, the Seiko SRPH31. Is this a worthy successor to the SNK line, or did Seiko fall short here? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you're enjoying the contents of this channel, I invite you to subscribe, and if you like the contents of this individual video, please give a thumbs up. That's all for this time. My name is Jason, and you have been watching Just Watches.